What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode, nay, another season of Iran Tech. It is so good to be back. As always, I'm your host, Ali Reza, and today we're kicking things off on a high note. We've come here to Mashhad's Fava Techno Park in the northeast of Iran, where it's really cold, to check out a product in the field of EdTech, that is education technology. It's got something to do with chalkboards, whiteboards. I think you see where I'm going with this. It is a tool that is going to unlock massive learning potential in all sorts of different classrooms, whether it be math, physics, chemistry, and everything else in between. So without any further ado, let's check it out. So this is the main event. This 86-inch smartboard input device is this company's answer to an education environment that is really just flipping on its head, because we're not learning the way we used to. We're not just using markers and whiteboards and chalks on a chalkboard to learn. The best tools that we are currently using in a classroom environment is our phones and tablets and our laptops. So the teachers also need to be able to have the kind of tools that is necessary to be able to interact with those tools that the learners are using, and also just to be able to use media, right? And this smartboard enables them to use media, photos, videos, and all sorts of different tools that is going to make teaching easier on all sorts of different subjects. But let's talk a little bit more about the kind of need that this product is filling in an increasingly shifting education environment.
یکی از علل اصلی که ما ورود پیدا کردیم به تولید نمایشگرها و استندهای لمسی و بردهای هوشمند این بود که دیگه نسل زد با تخت سیاه و تخت‌های وایت بورد برای آموزش که دبیر از اونها به سیستم سنتی استفاده می‌کرد تعامل لازم رو برقرار نمی‌کنه و در واقع دانش آموزای نسل زد با اپلیکیشن، با کامپیوتر، با نرم افزار جدید یا آموزش دیدن یا کار کردن و نیاز دارن که یه تحول عظیمی توی آموزش براشون اتفاق بیفته. در این تخته‌های هوشمند خیلی دبیر به راحتی میتونه انواع مولتی مدیا یا محتوای آموزشی رو با اشاره یک انگشت پخش بکنه و تمام حواس دانش آموز رو درگیر خودش بکنه و تمام این صحبت‌ها رو با صدای خودش ضبط بکنه و در آخر کلاس اون رو در قالب یک QR کد و یا یک فایل ویدئویی یا PDF یا پاورپوینت در اختیار دانش آموزا یا مخاطبین خودش قرار بده.
All right, let's now talk about the basic features before we get into some of the more unique ones. So first of all, we're dealing with a marker, but it's not, of course, a traditional marker because you don't have a whiteboard here. This is just a piece of plastic that is at the end of this marker. Because this is not even a touch screen. This is a plate of aluminum that is surrounded by strips of IR blasters and sensors. And that is how it tells where the marker is at and where the marker is touching the screen to be able to register the desired inputs. Now, of course, you have all sorts of different shapes, colors, and different sorts of lines at your disposal. If I want to draw a straight line, I can do so like so. If I want to draw, I don't know, a vertical line, I also have access to that. If I want to draw like a different, like maybe a sphere, I can change the size to however I want, and then maybe this is a trigonometry class and I can point to it with this arrow right here. Let's say, so what is the survey of this circle on top? I have access to all sorts of tools related to math, trigonometry and chemistry, physics, biology, and so much more. But first of all, let's discuss a little bit more about the kind of touch input or touch input that this smartboard uses. So, and basically how an IR sensor, an IR blaster, is meant to register our input.
In order for the IR touchscreen to know where your finger or the marker is, it needs a row of IR blasters and a row of receivers to be put in front of each other. When your finger blocks the light emitted from blasters, the receivers realize that, and based on which receiver is no longer receiving the light, it can determine the vertical position of your fingers. Now, because the light doesn't travel in a straight line and your finger will also affect the light received by other receivers, they should technically also be able to pinpoint the horizontal position of your fingers. But in reality, this causes problems and inaccuracies. So we add another row of blasters and receivers for the horizontal position of the object obstructing the light path.
One of the benefits of using a marker like this and a board like this is the amount of shortcuts and flexibility that it gives you. For example, we have two sets of shortcuts on both ends of our smartboard. So for example, if there are two students coming in and maybe solving an equation, they both have access to these shortcuts. But also there are some really handy tools like the Smart Object tool that you can draw a rough triangle and it gives you a perfect triangle. You can draw a rough circle and it gives you a perfect circle and, or really any other shape. But also another thing about this marker again is that, well, this isn't an actual marker, so there's no ink, so there's no ink fume that is known to be bad for your health. And of course, when we're talking about chalk, that's obviously not the optimal way of using a pen or a pencil. This is a lot more comfortable. It's just the size of a marker, which we like, but it also doesn't come with the negatives of it. But more important than all of these is the tools that have been developed and have been made accessible to the learners and the teachers to be able to do things a lot more efficiently. We're going to talk a little bit more about.
تخته هوشمند پارسورد یک نرم افزار بسیار حرفه‌ای در اختیار دبیر قرار میگیره برای تدریس در مقاطع مختلف در رشته‌های بسیار متفاوت. به طور مثال آزمایشگاه فیزیک و شیمی به صورت حرفه‌ای و جامع داخلش قرار داره که به راحتی میتونه یه ارلن یا بشر رو داخل سطح صفحه بکنه، یه چراغ الکلی رو روشن بکنه یا یک مدار باتری یا کیت رو که نحوه روشن شدن و ارتباطاتی که الکتریسیته لازمه توش جریان پیدا کنه به تصویر بیاره یا جریان‌ها و میدان‌های مغناطیسی و یا به اشاره یک انگشت انواع نمودارهای ریاضی مثل تانژانت، کوتانژانت رو ترسیم بکنه. همچنین نرم افزار در حوزه زیست داخلش میتونه قرار داشته باشه که به تشریح بدن یا تشریح یک حیوان رو به راحتی بتونن داخلش انجام بدن و لایه‌های مختلف بافت حیوانی و انسانی رو داخلش مشاهده بکنن.
Just based on the sheer amount of tools and software that is baked into this hardware and software ecosystem package, I can't really go over all of these tools and software. So I'll just finish it off on one really important note, and that is the media aspect of this entire ecosystem. So you can import all sorts of different media. There's this picture that I imported already, but you can also even work on videos. Let me turn on the volume. This isn't really an educational video, this is just to demonstrate. So I can even use the pen to annotate on the video as it is playing. Of course, that wouldn't be that important or really useful, so I'll just stop the video right here, maybe somewhere else, maybe here, and I'll just take a screenshot of it and move it around to where I want it to be. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. Okay, that's not bigger, but yeah, make it a little bit bigger. I tap here and now I have access to this screenshot and I can use it to maybe, I don't know, annotate more stuff on it. That's the final piece of tool in the software, in this particular software that I will give. But let's now get back to the hardware and the kind of material that is used. So I already told you that this is aluminum and well, it's really soft to the touch. It feels premium, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel very sticky like a whiteboard. Let's talk about the thought process that got us here to, we're using aluminum for durability and also the challenges that it took to get us to this aluminum material. Now that you know what the display is capable of, I'm going to flip the display. I mean, the displays are already flipped, and tell you about how it works and what goes on behind the scenes. So we have our panel, our backlight, and our touch screen already mounted on top of each other. And now it's all about the circuitry and the kind of stuff that needs to be connected for it to be able to function. So we're dealing with essentially two whole computers. This is the Windows computer that you just slide right in, and you have all the connectors coming out right here, and it is powered by this board right here. Now this board, which is in charge of converting the power and giving the power to all the rest of the components, so it gives power to the Windows PC, it gives power to the Android motherboard, because this motherboard runs Android, and also another neat feature that this display has is that it has 4 Wi-Fi modules, but not to connect to 4 different Wi-Fi routers. It's just to enable the cast feature that enables the users to be able to cast up to 4 devices simultaneously on the display, which would be great for certain scenarios. For example, in a meeting where a bunch of people wants to present something and they don't want to just go and disconnect the cable and connect it back to another laptop, another computer, I don't know, another tablet or something. They can just connect to the display wirelessly through the Android cast option and, you know, show 4 displays all at once. Of course, they still have the option to connect manually through wires, but they also have this option as well. So we've got the Android computer here, we've got the Windows computer, and if the display for whatever reason stops functioning and you still need to have access to your computer files, you can just slide out this PC and connect it to an alternate power source and just use it as a normal regular PC until the display is fixed. So you also have that flexibility. You're essentially buying a full-on computer. Now, another thing that I would like to talk about is this little board right here that all TVs and really all displays have. So this is in charge of the panel that is on top of the backlight. The backlight is just white, and the power is received from this board right here, because you don't really need to do anything with the white backlight. And this is connected to our both computers because this is the panel in charge of displaying the colors. Right? This is what we want to control in front of the backlight to be able to give us the kind of image that we want. So I thought it would be cool for you to know how a TV or really any display works. And well, that was that. Personally, I have some opinions about the future of the education field, industry, whatever you want to call it, and how it will look like. I feel like it's going to look very, very differently from how it's looking today. I feel like it's truly going to be flipped on its head, and we're going to put a lot less value on academic higher education than we currently are giving it. I feel like it's going to look like much more of a free market type deal. And some of the tools that is necessary to give the power of education to passionate people who are really invested in a topic and they want to share their knowledge with the world is the tools that we showcased in this episode. Now, there's definitely a next step to this. Maybe VR headsets are going to be the next big thing in education. They're already the next big thing in a lot of things, but maybe not quite there in the field of education. It's getting there. So these are the tools that are going to give the power of education to the people. And maybe we will experience a boom in science creation. Maybe, hopefully. But that's going to be it for this episode of Iran Tech. Thank you for staying tuned. I'll see you all in the next week.